Ohio State football has been on a roll. I mean, obviously, they're the defending national champions, but they may be making a fatal mistake with how they're handling the new rules for name, image, and likeness. This may set them back years. I'll explain. Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for checking us out every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button. We're making a push to 20,000 subscribers before the start of football season. That way you'll never miss a single episode. You can share, like, and follow so you don't miss those episodes. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money and use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. So a lot to get here to today. Of course, the Buckeyes, they may be bucking a trend, and it may cost them in the future. We are hot on the recruiting trail around the Big Ten. Plus our power rankings. Today, we're going to look at Big Ten wide receivers. Yeah, there's Jeremiah Smith and everybody else. I get it. But who is everybody else? There's some good ones out there. So we are going to get to all of that here on this podcast. But I want to start by talking about the Ohio State Buckeyes because they may be making a huge mistake in way they are now handling name, image, and likeness in a way that they haven't done before. They've been pretty good at handling this before. They're taking their name, image, and likeness collectives completely in-house, under their control, total control in the athletic department. That is in the wake of the House settlement, which is ushering everybody into the world of revenue sharing and the tightening of the screws of the rules for name, image, and likeness, NIL, moving forward. Now, up until now, Ryan Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes have handled the era of name, image, and likeness perfectly. They spent about $20 million on last year's roster, and of course, that won them a national championship. By the way, I'm hearing this year's number maybe $35 million. And I was very specific when I said that Ryan Day has handled NIL perfectly up until now. 2 seasons ago, after losing to Michigan again and failing to make the Big Ten championship game, and of course, failing to make the then 4-team playoff, and that season was capped off with a 14-3 loss to Missouri in the Cotton Bowl. Things were feeling kind of weird in Columbus. Ryan Day almost lost his mind, and he certainly didn't sleep on it much. He was a man obsessed with getting Ohio State to the top. And he retooled the entire football program from the inside out. Now, it wasn't like things were totally broken. I mean, I still contend if Kyle McCord doesn't throw that fourth quarter touchdown in Ann Arbor against Michigan, the season and the postseason will look completely differently. There would have been the Big Ten championship game, playoffs, who knows? But they didn't. They fell short, and it was time for a complete revamp. So Day's solution was to remove himself, first of all, as doubling as the team's offensive coordinator, delegated that to free himself up. And that allowed him to double down and triple down on the financial commitments from Ohio State's NIL collectives. And after securing that, he kept his roster intact by keeping guys in school for one more season. You know, those guys that put off the NFL for one more year because they were going to have some cash in their pocket. All right, so cool. Now, guys like Marvin Harrison Jr., he had to go. He was early first-round pick, too much money. He had to leave. But, you know, name, image, and likeness money for guys like Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, and Travion Henderson. They could stay another year and complete some unfinished business and put some money in their pocket at the same time. Ryan Day also doubled down in an area that he has always done well, and that was recruiting. Now, that costs name, image, and likeness money too, but hey, look at Jeremiah Smith, best in the business. That kid will probably win a Heisman before it's all said and done. He also doubled down with some key transfers in the portal, got himself a quarterback in Will Howard. Quinshon Judkins came from the SEC as a running back. Safety Caleb Downs coming over. So it was a lot of doubling down by Ryan Day. It was a good use of his free time or his more free time that he had, and not always being locked into his offensive commitments with the offense, and was able to work on everything else. It paid off. It absolutely paid off. Minus the November hiccup against the Wolverines again, but his team gelled there in the postseason and went on to its way to get a national championship. Now, clearly, Ryan Day and the Buckeyes had figured out name, image, and likeness. I think better than anybody else. You really have to give them credit for that. But have they messed up now? Have they given away their advantage over other teams in this area just in the past month? In short, all Power 4 schools, because of the House settlement that just came down a couple of weeks ago, are all going to spend $20.5 million among their athletes. Most of them go to football in revenue share. This is above and beyond what athletes can earn on their own outside of the school with the name, image, and likeness money. Now, the difference now moving forward is the NIL collectives. They could still continue, but the days of pay for play are gone, where they go tell a kid, hey, we'll give you $1.5 million, come play for us. And that was it. Now it's going to be very scrutinized, and it has to be for a specific job. The money has to be for a specific job, specific service, pretty specific price as well. And things are going to have to be itemized and scrutinized, and there are going to be some guardrails put in place here. But the Buckeyes, Ross Bjork, their athletic director, he's bringing Ohio State's NIL collectives in-house. So that means every penny that is spent to the athletes is coming straight from the athletic department, going directly to the player. And we're all trying to figure out how all these new rules work for everybody. But from where I'm sitting here, it seems to me that the Buckeyes are cutting off their arm for no reason. Nobody's making them do this. Nobody's making them take their NIL collectives and bring them in-house like this. And which I look at it as an extra arm of the recruiting world. Now you're pulling it all together here. And, I don't know if Ross Bjork is just trying to show everybody that Ohio State is doing everything by the absolute letter of the law. We're better and above than everybody else. I don't know. I haven't figured this out yet because I don't see a lot of other schools doing this. Maybe in the end, this will be the proven way to do it. And with all the craziness in college football, he'll have direct accountability. Maybe that's the play here. And maybe if they have continued success, you know how things are, copycat schools, everybody else will start doing it the same way and start bringing everything in-house. But I would think this makes recruiting a little bit more difficult because it's instead of having an assist from the outside, if you will, you put it all on your shoulders in the athletic department. Most other schools are still, allowing outside NIL collectives to do their thing to help the universities, athletic programs, and their football teams. Michigan still has an outside name, image, and likeness collective. They're not bringing it in-house. That's for sure. There's a difference there. Fans on the message boards, Ohio State fans, they're not too excited about this strategy. There's a little bit of worry and angst out there. Again, I thought Ohio State was a leader in this department. I hope for Buckeyes fans' sake that they did not give their advantage away here by taking everything in-house. Well, time will tell on this. In the short run, this will have minimal effect on the 2025 Buckeyes team. They're still ready to go for this upcoming football season. The roster's set. The dollars are spent. As I suggested, this year's roster may earn up to $35 million. But when this recruiting season is over, we could kind of compare notes a little bit, see if the Buckeyes are still trending on top. And by the way, every indication is that they are doing a phenomenal job with this recruiting class. So maybe class of 26, they're going to look good too, because that's what we're talking about here. But class of 2027, do we see slippage there? Or maybe in December, transfer portal time, when the season is over, will we see some signs of weakening? Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Nevertheless, I got to tell you, we are as excited as anybody for that Buckeyes 2025 season opener against Texas. Buckeye fans and Buckeye haters, hit me up with the comments. Let's go. Let's hear from you here on YouTube. Be sure to hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss a single episode. and share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten. And don't forget to check out our website, talkbig10.com. We put all of our podcasts there. You can go back and check out a second one for a second listen after this, but we also have a link at the bottom where you can buy your Ohio State Big Ten merchandise. Get yourself some shirts or hats or T-shirts. Get you ready for the upcoming season. All that is right here at talkbig10.com at your fingertips. Lots to do. You know, we do a pretty good job on the recruiting trail. We're hot on it. We have updates from Michigan, Ohio State, UCLA, Iowa, Illinois quarterback news. Plus, we're power ranking Big Ten wide receivers. Hang around for that. It's all coming up here in 1 minute on Locked On Big Ten. Monarch Money. Monarch Money is great. You got to get this. If you ever wish that managing your money felt easier with everything going on, all these moving pieces, with Monarch Money, you can make it easier. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. And you can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. No more surprises like, oh, where did my money go this month? Oh, I spent it too much eating out, or specific category like that. Where's it all going? An app makes everything so easy to use, and you can pull in your finances from your spouse or significant other all in one place. So you're not always chasing credit card apps, banking apps. Put everything in one place. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKDOWNCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKDOWNCollege for half off your first year. Thanks for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And check out our website, talkbig10.com, with our podcast and school merchandise from the Big Ten. All right, recruiting back on the trail. Let's do it. Let's check this out. Michigan. We've been following closely the Calvin Russell situation. He is a 5-star, 6'5", ready to announce on Saturday where he's going. Big wide receiver. Looking at Oregon, LSU, Florida State, Miami, Michigan. He's leaning Michigan, but not set in stone. However, the Wolverines got their last visit from him, and he seemed to hit it off with quarterback Bryce Underwood. And he thinks that Michigan thinks that life after football is very important. He likes that to prepare himself for adulthood. They did get a commit from another 5-star edge, Carter Meadows. 6'6", 225 pounds, chose the Wolverines over Ohio State, Penn State, and South Carolina. He loved the culture and the history of Michigan, and he is the country's number 2 edge prospect. So again, more on that defensive line. Just incredible. And last week's commit, 4-star, 6'6", 318-pound offensive lineman Malachi Lee. That was great. Why did he choose Michigan? He said, he said that he had 4 visits, which is a lot. He says they were all great. He said, but attending his first ever college football game at the Big House was awesome. He says it's something he'll never forget, and he could vision himself playing there. We forget a lot of times, a lot of these thousands and thousands of high school kids out there, some of them never get a chance to go to a college game. You hear the same thing with NFL guys sometimes. It's like the first NFL game they ever had the opportunity to see was one they were playing in. it happens that way. But anyway, he really envisioned himself playing there in the Big House. How about 3-star running back Jonathan Brown, who we talked about last week, who committed? Remember, he's the one from Columbus, right there at Columbus, Ohio. In fact, Ryan Day's kid was a teammate of his over there. Why did he choose Michigan? Well, I said it was a balance of a couple things. First of all, other people like Ohio State weren't really recruiting him, and he put his fandom of the Buckeyes aside, and Michigan saw a lot of potential in him. So he's good to go. Speaking of Ohio State, 5-star linebacker Xavier Griffin. They were hoping to get him. He's going to Alabama. Instead, it came down to Alabama or Ohio State. He chose the Tide over the Buckeyes. Florida State and Texas were in the mix too. He's a 6'3" linebacker, fourth-rated player out of the state of Georgia. And he originally committed to USC in the Big Ten back in May. Bailed out of that, was open, and was strongly considering Ohio State, but ends up going to Alabama. How about 4-star edge Landon Barnes? He was choosing between Ohio State and Washington and Ole Miss. This week he chose Ole Miss. And 6'3", 235-pounder, top 25 edge guy. Just chose Ole Miss Monday night this week. And he was expected to be in Georgia, I think, coming up after this weekend and visit Kirby Smart. I think it was the week after the 4th of July, that following week. Hey, I said, Kirby, no, I'm good. Canceled. And then, but instead, made plans to go see Brian Kelly in LSU, and nothing panned out. He's going to Ole Miss now. Let's get back to the Big Ten. Illinois commit Michael Clayton. He announced to everybody he is fully committed to Illinois. Now, this was a kid who was making people a little bit nervous. Quarterback. And even though he posted a long time ago, he announced he was coming to Illinois, but he posted recently that, hey, I received a scholarship from Coach Prime and Colorado. And everybody's like, ooh. He had 33 offers, as a matter of fact. Now, he's been a verbal commit at Illinois since 2024, a long time. He's a 3-star quarterback. But then all of a sudden he posts that Colorado stuff. And look, I think he just got excited. Coach Prime is famous. He offered him a scholarship. I think he just wanted to show it off a little bit. That's, kids do that on social media. He's doubling down on Illinois, 1,000% committed. He's making several plans to be around the Illinois program in the fall and attend games during his senior year of high school. So he's still coming. There is a 4-star defensive lineman, Tufanoa Ionatana. They call him TI for short because it's a lot easier to say. He's from Inglewood, Colorado. He recently trimmed down his list to 5 schools, UCLA among them. UCLA and Washington are on the list, along with his hometown, Colorado. Speaking of Coach Prime, also North Carolina and Oklahoma are in the mix. So some rank the Bruins a recruiting class, by the way, top 16 nationally. This would be a good get. They're starting to pick up some steam on the recruiting trail. Let's talk about the Iowa Hawkeyes for a moment. Kirk Ferentz, been there over a quarter of a century. Got a nice commit from 3-star linebacker Billy Wivoda, who becomes the 13th commit for the Hawkeyes class of 2026. He is a 6'2" linebacker from Alpharetta, Georgia. He has 28 offers from around the country. He chose Iowa over Vandy, Georgia Tech, Cincinnati, and Virginia Tech. Meanwhile, a little bit off the recruiting trail, but let's talk some success for just a minute and what that does for a team. With success comes money. With money, schools can spend money on stuff that they maybe normally wouldn't be able to do. Indiana football, coming off their 11-win season. They got a new playing surface at Memorial Stadium. That's over $1 million. And the football team's indoor practice facility got a major makeover with new lighting and a new HVAC system. And still, there are some plans moving forward without any firm deadlines, but a lot of plans to do a larger scale renovation at Memorial Stadium where the Hoosiers play. That's in the works. They were doing surveys. They got some big plans. I think they're going to make some game day experiences better as soon as this year. But I think they're kicking around tires on doing some major stuff at Memorial Stadium, which, by the way, I think looks fabulous on TV. It looks a lot different than when I went there a long time ago, where the end zones were open. There were like bleachers on the north side, and that was it. Nothing on the south side. Now it's all enclosed. It looks great. Looks as good as any stadium in the country. Just beautiful. But they're gonna do some more out there in Bloomington as we go on. All right, we like to do features. It's one of the many things that makes this podcast unique from other podcasts. By the way, this podcast, we do Big Ten, 18 teams. We give you the news, we give you analysis of that news, and we give you opinion on that news. All of that right here. We're not afraid. We don't shy away from opinion. We'll also do some pretty cool features at the end of our podcast every day. On Mondays, we like to do our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. Tuesdays, we like to do Tuesday tweets. Wednesdays, we power rank stuff. We always find stuff to do. We're going to do that. By the way, Thursdays, we do our Big Ten classics and live action from the Big Ten Network. And Fridays, we make picks. As far as our power rankings today, last week we looked at running backs. Today we got power ranking the wide receivers of the Big Ten. I came up with a list of 13. I had a few more than a top 10. Not much more than that really jumped out. So it's a pretty good list. We're gonna rank them for you. Obviously, we know who's number one. Who's on the rest of that list? Our weekly power rankings are next, right here on Locked On Big Ten. All right, time now for our power rankings. We're looking at wide receivers today, so we're going to put this on the list if you're on screen, if you're on video, if you're audio only, no worries. It's just a list. Keep it kind of simple. And here we go. All right, no big surprise, right? At number one, this was a layup. Ohio State wide receiver Jeremiah Smith, hands down, best receiver in the Big Ten, hands down, best receiver in the country. Last year as a freshman, broke all of Chris Carter's freshman records at Ohio State. 76 catches, 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6 plays of over 50 yards. This is a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate this year. Jeremiah Smith with the Ohio State Buckeyes, our number one receiver in our power rankings. After that, Indiana's Elijah Sarrett. This is a great story. He came in with Curt Cignetti from James Madison. And you're like, can the guy play at the next level? Yeah, he did. Last year, 53 catches, 957 yards. And remember, he's got a new quarterback this year with Fernando Mendoza, who transferred in from Cal. But Sarrett seems to be the main weapon and ready to go for Curt Cignetti's offensive Hoosier attack. Going to go back to Ohio State for number 3, and Carnell Tate. Look, he's a good wide receiver. He's in the shadows a little bit. Like last year, Jeremiah Smith was the deal. Emeka Egbuka got a lot of attention. So now it's Carnell Tate's chance to step up in that Emeka Egbuka role. Got a new quarterback throwing to him this year, Julian Sayin. But, I mean, even though he was like a third option last year, 52 catches, over 700 yards. And he's a big target at 6'3". I think he's going to do pretty well this year. Look for Ohio State's Carnell Tate to have a big year. Number 4 on our wide receiver power rankings, Washington's Denzel Boston. He was the number 2 option last year for the Huskies with Giles Jackson. Now he's the number 1 guy. Had 63 catches, over 800 yards. And I'm a big fan of Damon Williams Jr., his new quarterback. Oh, and Boston, he's huge. He's 6'4", 209, but he's huge with speed. They clocked him at 22 miles an hour in a game last year. And number 5 and number 6, we're just going to go to the USC wide receiver room together. I could have ranked one guy ahead of the other one, but Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon. Lane last year had 43 catches, over 500 yards, but 12 touchdowns. I mean, you talk about a guy with a nose for the end zone. And then Lemon in a crowded wide receiver room last year had a couple of nice big games late. A&M and Notre Dame had catches of over 30 yards in 6 different games, got some big play ability. So, yeah, take your pick at 5 and 6. Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon, whatever you prefer. I want to give a shout out at number 7 to Minnesota's Javon Tracy, 57. You think of Minnesota as a team that runs the ball and plays great defense. You don't think of flashy wide receivers too much at Minnesota, but Javon Tracy, 57 catches last year, over 800 yards and 7 touchdowns. I can make an argument that we could have ranked him higher than 7th. I want to give a shout out to Rutgers, Ian Strong, 43 catches and 676 yards and 5 touchdowns for Rutgers, a team that normally throws the ball or runs the ball a lot. He was able to carve out his niche there at Rutgers as a receiver. So those are our top 8. Let's see who else we have here. At number 9, we're going back to Indiana. Amar Cooper Jr. Now, I had a hard time placing him exactly on this list. I wasn't sure because he had 28 catches last year. Now, you're going to say, well, okay, 28, fine. You play a dozen games. What's the deal? Of those 28 catches, by the way, he averaged 21 yards per catch. And of the 28 catches, 7 were touchdowns. 7. 1 in 4 touches he gets in the end zone. So I wasn't sure where to put him on the list. 9 seems good, but you pair him with Elijah Sherritt, who is Sarrett, who is number 2 on our list. That's a nice 1-2 punch. At number 10, Michigan State's Nick Marsh. Wanted to put him on there. He had 41 catches, 649 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And I'm looking forward to see some improvement from Aiden Childs at quarterback, a very athletic quarterback this year. At number 11, Illinois' Hudson Clement, 51 catches, 741 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He is a transfer, by the way. If you're an Illinois fan not familiar with his name, he came from West Virginia. Now he's going to come in. Luke Altmaier is going to be throwing him the ball. In fact, the last 3 on my list are transfers. They're new. We've got him at Illinois. At Nebraska, Dane Key coming from Kentucky. This was a good get. This was early in the transfer portal, right after the season ended last year. He had 47 catches at Kentucky for 715 yards and a couple of touchdowns. And then Penn State's Kyron Hudson from USC. He had 38 catches, 462 yards, and 3 touchdowns as well. And Penn State always needs some help at wide receiver. He could be a big, big factor there. So there you have it. Those are our power rankings for the week. Wide receivers in the Big Ten, a list of 13, kind of a odd number a little bit, but that's what we came up with. If we left somebody out that you're pretty high on, hit us up in the comments section and let us know. Always, and maybe it's somebody that will go, oh, yeah, probably should have put that guy on there. But anyway, that's my list right there, top 13. Again, we do some sort of feature ranking or something like that every Wednesday. In the meantime, there are many ways for you to interact with this podcast. You could subscribe if you don't mind. Hit that subscribe button. We're making a push to 20,000 subscribers before the start of football season. I think we're going to get there. We're rolling into the 19,000s right now. Subscribe. That way you'll never miss another episode, and it's free. So why not? And feel free to go back and check out another podcast from yesterday if you missed that as well. Also invite you for a second listen to our friend Brian Smith from the Portal Show. All things transfer portal on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. That'll do it for us. Can't wait till we meet again. Thanks for joining us. Tell your friends that we're out here each and every day. And word of mouth is fantastic for this. We'll talk to you next time. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman.